The AYN Thor might be the best emulation handheld you can buy, but nobody tells you it takes hours to set it up right. So I figured out the fastest path from basic to the ultimate experience. I'm gonna walk you through all of it. All right, step one is to press next, pick your language, set up your Wi-Fi, make sure your Wi-Fi is on, select your time zone, and then pick between these two launchers. I'm gonna pick the first one just to make things easier. Press next, pick your navigation bar style. I think the first one is just the easiest. Press next, and then your configuration is complete. Next, you're gonna have to make sure you have a micro SD card and a micro SD card reader. This is important because you need to set up your ROM files before setting up your Thor. You're gonna have to find the GitHub for Joey's ROM folders on Google. Download roms.zip, open it up. You're gonna drag and drop all these folders into your SD card. If you're like me and you have existing ROMs, you're gonna wanna make sure that your ROMs are organized into these new folders. The first step is to configure our default Android settings. So first we're gonna go to settings. We're gonna go to display, screen timeout, and change the inactivity to 5 minutes instead of 1 minute. Next, you're gonna go to Thor settings and enable OLED Ultra Black mode. The next thing you do is go to system and then go to Thor OTA and make sure everything's updated. Mine was already good to go. Now we're gonna head to notifications and then we're gonna make sure do not disturb is on. That way there aren't any unnecessary notifications from any other app. The reason why we're going to Chrome is because we need an app called Obtainium. This is gonna update all your emulators, get you all your emulators, and any other apps. In Google, just search up RJNY and then click on the first thing that you see from GitHub. Now, the first thing you're gonna do is scroll all the way down to where it says latest release of Obtainium. And then you're gonna download the most basic looking thing on here and it's just called apprelease.apk. Now, you're gonna press the back button on your Thor, just as I'm doing. And then that's gonna take you back to the main page where you're gonna click on the right-hand side releases. And you're gonna download the dualscreen.json. This is important because it's gonna download all the emulators specialized for the AYN Thor. So you're gonna go to your downloads. You're gonna hit on the app release. Anything that asks you, just allow from the source. Hit install and open the app. Don't allow any notifications. Go okay through all the prompts. And then you're gonna go to import/export on the bottom. And then you're gonna press Obtainium import and then press the new file that we got, the JSON file, and that should get you all your emulators. And now our next step is to just download all the emulators that I want to cover. On screen here is the app list for all the emulators and apps that I'm going to cover in this video. If you're looking for a specific emulator that isn't on Obtainium right now, go back to the Obtainium GitHub page, scroll down, and then the ones without a checkmark aren't listed on the app right now. Press add to Obtainium and it'll instantly add it to your Obtainium so you can download it for later. I highly recommend you download the Mr. Purple driver, so open up Google and search up Mr. Purple and download the T28 drivers. Sometimes you have to download the other versions, but for this specific video, we're going to use T28. Just scroll down and download the Mr. Purple T28 zip file, and make sure you remember exactly where you downloaded it, as we'll refer back to it multiple times in this video. So click Azahar, get started, file system, allow access to all your files. Notifications, you just ignore all this stuff. You can just skip everything. Select your user folder. This is just going to be where you labeled your folder N3DS. So go to your folder. I have mine as ROMs if you did it how I did. And then N3DS. Use folder, allow, okay. And then applications, you can do the exact same folder, allow, and then you're going to hit next. Continue. And these should have all the games you connected. Next, we're gonna hit settings. We're gonna go to gamepad, and then we're gonna press automatic controller and select A. Then we're gonna scroll down and go to hotkey enable. We're gonna make that select, and then we're gonna do quick save and quick load as select R1 and select L1. And then for turbo speed, we're gonna do select R2. Next, we're gonna go to the graphics settings, and we're gonna make the API Vulkan. Sometimes you'll use OpenGL. Then we're going to scroll all the way down, and then we're going to enable custom textures and change the internal resolution to 4x. Next, we're going to go to layout and change the landscape screen layout to single screen, and then for the secondary screen layout to bottom screen. Next, we're going to GPU driver manager and then install our previous turnip driver. Install that. And that's it for that section. In this tutorial, we're going to use Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D to install custom textures. So press the folder icon and open texture folders. This is how you're going to find it for any other game. And remember this folder. Then Google your texture pack. I'm just gonna Google Ocarina of Time 4K texture pack and download the first thing I see. This will work with literally any other game the same way. So if you're following along, I'm going to Ocarina of Time in this specific texture pack and downloading the 4.0. We're gonna download the 4K version, press download, download anyway. You should try to save it on the same storage and where your games are. So that way it's easier to extract later. For this specific tutorial, I'm using 7-zipper to help it move my files around because the default File Explorer does not work transferring files that well. So you can go to this link, download 7-zipper, open it up, and then use that to extract your texture pack into the folder that we discussed earlier. So now I'm in 7-zipper for the first time, and I'm gonna take my newly downloaded file and I'm gonna extract it to the folder that we discussed earlier. This is probably gonna take a little bit of time, so if you need to do something else, feel free to step away and come back to it. But once you do all that, you can exit everything and then finally open up your Legend of Zelda. And when you do open it up on the title screen, it should say 4K. If it doesn't, then you need to redo one of the steps. But as you can see, I'm running 4K, internal resolution up, and looks amazing. And you can replicate this with any other game that has a texture pack available online. Next, we're going to set up the Nintendo DS emulator. This one's MelonDS dual screen. Download any updates that prompt. And then for settings, just allow from the source, install, and then open the app. Next, you're going to have to set your ROM directory. Super simple, just like everything else. Just find your NDS folder, go to ROMs, find your NDS folder, and then use this folder, allow. And all your games should pop up. I'll let you have the 2. Next, hit the 3 dots on the top right, go to settings. Now in your settings, you're gonna go to video and then change your renderer to OpenGL, and then your internal resolution, you can bump that up to 4 or 5x. For this purpose of the tutorial, I'm just gonna leave it as 4x. Now, the only other thing you have to do is just go to input, key mapping, and make sure everything's bound correctly as you want. The only other thing you have to do is go to soft input behavior and then make sure it's select to hide console buttons when a controller is connected. And then you're pretty much good to game. All right, next we're gonna set up the Eden emulator, and this is for your Nintendo Switch. So make sure you have your prod key and firmware files in the exact same version number. I saved mine in the ROMs folder in the Switch folder. So make sure you have done the same, if not something similar. So you're gonna go in your prod keys, select that. Then you can do a firmware and then also find the folder where you saved it. Make sure they're the same, like I said. And then for your games folder, just use the folder wherever you found your games. Next, we're gonna press games. We're gonna go to our Switch folder, use this folder, allow, press OK, press next, get started. Then all your games should just pop up. Go to the settings menu, go to GPU driver manager, install the turnip drivers that we had early in the tutorial. So we're just gonna go find that real quick. I saved mine in the downloads folder like always, and then if you want other drivers, just press the fetch button, and I suggest sticking to Mr. Purple if possible and trying out the different variations depending on the game you are playing. Next, we're gonna go to controls, go to player 1, and then we're gonna auto map a controller just like everything else. So just tap that real quick, press O to controller 0, and then everything should be there for the most part. Just double check everything like always. This part of the tutorial, we're gonna open Obtainium, and then we're gonna go to our front-end launcher. And this one's gonna be CocoonFE. We're gonna hit install, and then we're just gonna open it up on our launcher page. You're gonna press A to continue, and then you're just gonna go through the prompt. Just keep pressing A, make everything your default launcher. Continue, just keep pressing continue until you give everything access. So just give Cocoon access here. Continue again, and then it's gonna ask you where you're gonna put your data. We're just gonna select our ROMs folder in this tutorial. Super simple. All right, now that that's selected, just press A, and now you're gonna have to input these 3 things. So first we're gonna go to steamgrid.api. Make sure you log in, scan with your QR code or however you wanna do it, and then copy your API key. Super easy, go back to Cocoon, paste it in, hit done, and then Screen Scraper, you're going to do the same thing, and RetroArch Achievements, you're going to do the same thing. This will be used for later on when you're building out your experience, so just follow what I'm doing on the screen here. You can do this at any time, you can go back to it later, you don't have to do it now, it's completely up to you. All right, now that you did that, just download now everything. It's gonna take a little bit of time, so just wait a bit. All right, now that it's done, just press continue. And then for me, I picked smart folders here, but feel free to go simple mode. I just like everything in neat, organized folders. Now you're gonna give it access to all your ROM folders. We're gonna select our ROM directory, and this is literally just the ROMs folder again. Just make it use that folder, and it'll find all your games. Give it a sec to scan all our games, it just takes a little bit of time. Now you're ready to enter Cocoon, and this is what your UI will look like off the bat. Now we're gonna get ready to customize this. Press Y and enter Cocoon settings. Here you can go through each tab and figure out what you like. I'm just gonna show you how to scrape the artwork, so you're just gonna go to the scrape tab, and then for here, you wanna make sure you check all your platforms that you want your artwork for, and then press start scraping. Next, just go through everything, make sure under platforms, if you have games for that platform, make sure you have your emulator selected. And then you want to make sure you're always using the one that's optimized for dual screen gaming. So like right here I have MelonDS, and now I want to switch it to Melon Dual DS. Now we're going to go to themes, and here you can pick whatever you want. I have some pre-installed already, but for Cocoon it's really easy. You can go to SilkPod and download a bunch of these custom themes, mix and match them however you want. Just a really easy way to have all your stuff organized. All right, next we're gonna set up our WiiU emulator by hitting the three dots, going to general settings, add our game path, and then like I said before, just go to your ROMs folder and then find your WiiU folder. Should be at the bottom. Press use this folder, allow, and then you should have all your games loaded on your WiiU emulator. Now next we're gonna go to graphics settings, and then we're just gonna check some basic settings like custom drivers, and then we're gonna press the plus sign on the top right, and then put our custom drivers in from before, the Mr. Purple, whatever the latest version is for you, and then head back. Then we're gonna go input settings, controller 1, and then we're gonna make that one into a WiiU gamepad controller. Then we're gonna set up all the inputs, Odin controller, and it should set up everything for you. If there's anything you need to change, just change it. Now you should have all your games, so I'm just gonna select one of them right now because there's some things you need to do while you have a game loaded. At the start of every game, the shaders will compile a lot, but as you play, it won't be as bad. Now we're gonna swipe on the left side of the screen and press show pad. This is gonna enable the WiiU gamepad, and then we're gonna press external pad screen. This will show you the screen on the bottom. Now we're gonna go into the GameCube and Wii emulator. This is just Dolphin emulator. You're gonna go to add games, gonna go to your disk or wherever you saved your ROM folder again, and then find those respective folders. For GameCube should be GC, and Wii should just be Wii. Just use this folder and allow for both of those. And then now you pretty much have all your games installed. We're gonna hit the cog, go to settings, config, general, enable cheats. Then we're gonna scroll all the way down and enable save states. Next, we're gonna go to graphics settings. We're gonna make sure Vulkan is enabled, and sometimes OpenGL can work better for other games. And then we wanna enable compile shares before starting. And then for enhancements, we're gonna crank up the internal resolution to 4x. And then GPU driver, you want to install drivers for Dolphin, and it's going to be the same Mr. Purple drivers that you had before. We're going to go back into the settings, and then we're going to go to inputs. We're going to controller 1, and then we're going to set up everything one by one. Go to your preferences, set it up how you want. I'm going to set it up based on the screen right here. I'm going to set up with my preference. Now the Wii input is more tricky, so we're going to go Wii Remote 1, and then we're going to go down to all the buttons here. A is A, B is B, Y is 1, X is 2, and then you can swap these around if you want. Now, once you do all that, the most important part is just to make these profiles. So we're gonna go to one profile and rename that one as Nunchuck. Press done, save that, and then we're gonna go back down and we're gonna disable. We're gonna go back down and make the extension none, and then we're gonna save this one as normal config. And the reason why you want to do that is because some games require games with nunchucks and some of them don't. So whenever you go to a game and you long press it, just like how I'm doing, and you edit the game settings, you go to the input, you can now select the profile that works for that game the best. All right, next we're going to load up our PS2 emulator. It should be Nether SX2. Press next on every prompt until you get to import BIOS, or find your BIOS files and make sure you select those. Then hit next. Then find your game directories, should be ROMs, PS2 folder, allow folder. Then your setup is basically complete. Now you just need to add your game directory, press use this folder. allow, and then all your games should be there. Don't worry about the artwork. Your Cocoon will automatically get you all the artwork later on. So now we're gonna go to our settings area and go to app settings. We're gonna enable patch codes. We're gonna go graphics settings, leave it as Vulkan for now, but sometimes OpenGL will work, so select that if you need to. And then for the upscale multiplier, we're gonna make that 4x as well. You can crank it up as much as you want. I just have a universal rule of 4x for now. And then under graphics, you're gonna enable widescreen patches. So if any games do support widescreen 16:9, it will automatically apply. Next, we're gonna go to memory cards. You're gonna press create new card, make it a folder, and then you're gonna rename it to whatever you want. I'm gonna name mine memory card 1 or mem card 1 here. Press done, create it. And that way you'll have one universal memory card for all your games. Now, we're gonna go to controller settings and just let it auto map the controller for us. There's not much work need to be done here. You can go to hotkeys and bind like fast forward and stuff, how I did for the Azahar emulator. There's nothing that much different, so just feel free to follow the same way you did for the 3DS. Now you're gonna open up that left side menu again and press start BIOS. And in this BIOS section, we just need to make sure we go in the system configurator and make it 16:9. So let it go through this animation. Press system configuration. Now scroll to screen size and make it 16:9. So that way any native 16:9 games will automatically display that way. Now when you first launch a game, it's gonna ask you to reformat your memory card. Just press yes. It'll automatically go to your new memory card that you made, and then everything should work. You're gonna search up AYN Pocket DS Magnifier. Click on the first GitHub page, scroll down to the latest version, and then install the APK file. Now the whole point of this app is on the secondary screen, you can enlarge certain UI elements. So when you're streaming games to your Thor, which we'll get to later, or you have a single player game that only has one screen, you can actually make use of the second screen instead of just turning it off. Now on your desktop, to set up PC streaming to your Thor, you're gonna download something called VibePollo. Just download the latest exe of whatever is available. You're just gonna launch that, and then you're gonna press more info on your PC and run anyways. It's gonna flag if you have an antivirus, so probably turn that off. And then you're just gonna install VibePollo. And the whole reason why we want this is because when you automatically launch PC streaming, it's gonna turn off all your monitors automatically, and there's very little setup needed. So you're just gonna let this run for however long it takes, and then we'll get into the main UI later. You're gonna also wanna install RTSS. This is gonna make the streaming a lot smoother, and it's not a necessary requirement, but it does recommend it in the VibePollo settings whenever you add another application or a different front end like Play Night. This is something you're gonna need for the future. So in your VibePollo settings, when you edit an application, you're gonna turn on a few settings. So one of the first settings is configure physical or virtual display. This will automatically turn off your monitors when you do launch the streaming service on your AYN Thor. The default settings work perfectly fine. Just save those and make sure that's on every application that you're gonna have for your Thor. Using Artemis on our Thor, it's gonna show us a pin. We're gonna activate that pin in the clients section, and then we're gonna name our device AYN Thor. In the clients tab, go to your AYN Thor, press edit, and then you're gonna wanna turn pretty much every setting on here. That way your AYN Thor can do pretty much anything on your PC. Now I just launched the application on your Thor all the way, and you can use a wake on LAN request. There is special setup that you have to Google for each motherboard to make that work, so I won't go over it right now. But here I'm gonna have my PC turn on remotely, and then now my PC's online, and I'm gonna select my front end, which is Play Night, but you can just click Steam or you can do desktop. It doesn't really matter in this scenario. Just let it establish the connection, and then you can pretty much play any of your PC games from your PC on your Thor, and it's really crystal clear. Now here I am playing Crimson Desert from my PC, and as you can see, I'm not really making use of the bottom screen, and I could definitely turn it off to save battery life by just holding the AYN button. But here I'm gonna use the Pocket Magnifier app, and I'm gonna start mirroring my screen. So we're gonna go through any prompts that it shows when you launch it for the first time, and then press start mirroring. Then all you have to do is just open up your main application again. For me, it's just the streaming app, and I'm gonna launch Crimson Desert again. And all you have to do is just pinch the zoom, and you can see any UI element you want super enlarged and super crystal clear. That way you can still make use of both OLED screens. Now in this tutorial, I didn't really go over PC emulation on your Thor, and that's because there's way too many different ones and too many configurations. And you know, it's not something that's super easy to set up right out the box compared to the other emulators. That'll be best left for a separate video. with multiple configurations for multiple different games.